hear me, you probably get a little message saying, hey, it's recording. And yeah, it is. So one part of every good meeting is, other than just having an opening, is a safety talk. And you've heard us at multiple roundtables give a safety talk about something, whether it's weather or risk of injury or things like that. And it got me thinking. I was wondering if maybe some of you wonder where we come up with this at. Those who know me know I'm not the brightest guy in the world. I'm good at making stuff up, but not always intelligently making stuff up. So I wanted to show you where we come up with these safety moments and where you can come up to have this information to present it to your unit, whether it's you as the unit leader who is presenting as part of the opening, or maybe you have a scout that looks some of this stuff up. So we're all very familiar, hopefully by now, with the national website. So this is scouting.org. So at scouting.org, we can get over here to the three dashes in the upper right. And then right over here at Scouting Safely, and we're going to be using this site in a little bit as well. But down here is safety moments. So if we click on the safety moments, and then scroll the screen a little bit, it has a wide variety, giving it a second. So this is the video up there just talking about using safety moments. But as we scroll down, there are a wide variety of safety moments, and they keep adding more. So right in here, if you click on that, there's the presentation. There's information about all terrain in the BSA, our medical forms, aquatics, asthma, ADHD. I mean, it just goes on and on. And there's a lot of good safety topics in here. So really, this is a matter of find one. Maybe it pertains to what your unit is doing at the time. Maybe it pertains to the weather going on outside. Maybe there was, an issue, like, maybe at your last event, you found that we left some of the scouts unsupervised around the sand dunes and they started digging in them. Probably not a good idea. So this is a great way to have a conversation about that. Or we're getting ready to go to the beach and we have this conversation. So like I said, I'm not going to scroll all of them. There's a bunch there. And of course, there was a search at the top. But this is where we come up with the safety moments. Safety moments, is maybe 5-10 minutes as part of the opening with the meeting. And I would strongly encourage, if you're not doing them, that you put them in there. They're not just for the adults like what we do in ours. There are a lot of good safety tips for our youth as well, and also for the adults that you have at your meeting. There's a few people who sit on the board meetings that we do that are here tonight, and we do these at every board meeting. I'm hoping that they go on at every district meeting, and certainly hoping that they go on at every unit meeting. So that is my my safety moment talk tonight. So get my little screen here ready for the next one. So tonight we're going to be talking about first aid in scouting. And this is kind of a near and dear topic to my heart. I really got my big start in first aid in the Boy Scouts, as a matter of fact. My grandfather, when he was alive, had a lot of health issues, including at the time he had a stoma. So he, because of cancer, ended up having a hole in his throat that he did all the breathing from out of there. And as a part of that, everyone in my family learned how to do CPR. And I had already learned it from scouting, being in scouting, working my way up through the ranks, taking CPR. There was so much exposure to first aid inside of scouting that I had a lot of fun with it. And I kept progressing on, whether it was a Klondike Derby and having the first aid competitions to rank advancement, then taking CPR classes. And then I moved myself into teaching first aid and CPR classes, and not just, with scouting and in my unit, but I actually went out and became certified with the American Red Cross at the time. Still enjoyed doing it and continued on to become a instructor trainer, where I was certified to teach, or still am certified to teach, new instructors. And then of course we came out with, or not we, but the organizations came out with, professional rescue or CPR, wilderness first aid, and a wide variety of other topics. And since that time, it's progressed so much, where we have the asthma inhalers and EpiPens, and how any day person can administer those without specialized training. So it's really nice. And scouting's done a good job on keeping up. But at times there's so much with this that we miss things that are important for, our scouts, important for us as unit leaders, um, and some things that are just available in the program. So that's what I wanted to talk to you about tonight. So to begin with, for our first aid, and I'm just calling them awards. I know they're not all necessarily awards. So in the Cub Scout program, right off the bat, we have the first responder, which was prior to that Ready Men Award. Scouting, we have advancement going from scout to first class. There is always a first aid requirement in there of some kind. They progressively learn more. And of course, the first aid merit badge. There was also the Emergency Preparedness Award, which is now a discontinued award. I believe it was discontinued in 2020. I'm really hoping that they come back with another version of that because that was a great award. And then, of course, another one, if you're not aware of it, is they have the honor medals and honor medals with cross palms. And this is when somebody using their skills that they have learned, like CPR, uses those skills in a real life situation. And the progress of the award, which is a national award, or awards, I should say, is based on risk to self. So, there's that you provided, CPR to somebody with no risk to yourself. Then there was the, moderate risk to yourself, and then, serious risk to yourself. These are available for adults and youth. Absolutely love and enjoy handing out these awards. But the only way we know about it is when somebody tells us about it so we can get the application submitted. So it doesn't matter if they, learn their first aid here, it's a member of scouting, and we want to get them recognized for what they've done in their community as well. So please, when you know somebody, get in touch, do the internet search for it, let your professional know, let your commissioner know, let somebody in the district know, and we'll help you get the award. We'll help you get the application filled out and do a very nice recognition for the person for the service that they've offered in their community. So there's a lot of resources out here regarding, keeping our program safe. The main area is going right to that scouting safely that we just looked at on the national website. From there, there's the guide to safe scouting. Most important book that you can ever have in your unit. If you don't have any other books, you need to have this one. Now, they do a printed version of it. It's nice to maybe have a printed version. More importantly, is know how to access the online version, which is going through the national website. I created a shortcut to it on my phone screen. And the reason being is they update, or they provide updates to Guide to Safe Scouting every 3 months. And the Guide to Safe Scouting is the end all be all of these are the rules, regulations, and safety guidelines for doing events. So if you want to go swimming, here's the rules regarding swimming. If you want to go camping, here's the things that you have to take into consideration. Can a youth and an adult, or can a youth drive another youth to a scouting event? Answers in the book. Look it up. I get a lot of people that come to me and ask, well, can I do this and can I do that? Look into Guide to Safe Scouting, right? For example, and sometimes they reference other books. Like, for example, one of a kind of a popular unit activity, which is a great one if done correctly, is Nerf guns. A lot of people like to take Nerf guns, shoot them at the cups stacked up, right? Or some other type of target. Great plan. Did you know you have to have training for that? Because that's in the Guide to Safe Scouting of what training you have to have, or somebody in the unit has to have that's present there. Because if not, and somebody gets hurt, there's no insurance coverage, right? It becomes your event, not a scouting event. So because we want events to run safely, the Guide to Safe Scouting gives us all of this. And it's not gray. It's pretty black and white about all of that. Of course, if you have questions, that's what we're here for. Going through your professional staff, risk management committee, some of those people are there to help out. The safe checklist is organizing an event and making sure it's safe. The safety moments we just talked about, it has the information about the medicals. What's the difference between an A, B, and A, B, C? What are immunizations? There's the training that's available. It talks about, the first aid, CPR, wilderness first aid, EpiPen, asthma, blah, 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 blah. But more importantly, it also talks about who's authorized to teach these classes, like what certifications do we recognize? So you may be getting trained by somebody, and your work may offer training, but the important part is what organization is signing off on that, because the BSA basically recognizes any nationally recognized organization. Occasionally you run into a few locally recognized ones, and the BSA doesn't recognize those. So it's important to take a look. And if you have a question, ask. Some of the main contenders in there, and we'll see them in a minute, is American Red Cross, American Heart, ECSI. And then there's a frequently asked questions page. So if you've never been to this area, you should definitely take a look at it. So the training where they talk about this is one of my favorite areas because I just enjoy doing this. In our council, we offer the CPR and AED. We offer basic first aid. We offer wilderness first aid. We offer professional rescuer. At times, summer camp is offered lifeguarding, but that doesn't get offered that often. That's really more on a case-by-case thing. There's a lot of them we offer, and we offer them. By the way, we do it through ECSI, Emergency Care and Safety Institute. Some of the classes at summer camp are offered through the American Red Cross by our own instructors. So all of these are our instructors. So we have a contract with these organizations to offer these prices really, really low, better than you ever get in the community. And we offer them in a variety of ways. So University of Scoutings, which we're tentatively looking at the next one for May up at Camp Gordon. We're just trying to work out the arrangements because the one in February just wasn't going to work with what's going on. We offer them at like the outdoor training weekend. So what we call the mega weekend coming up in April, we'll be offering wilderness first aid and CPR there. We also, on some occasions, will go out to units and offer it there. So on our council website under training, there is a CPR resource, and on there is, can you come out to my place and do it? Click on it. It sends an email to our leads, and we see if we have an instructor who's available to come to your unit to do the training. Chances are, if we're coming to your unit and do the training, if you have the spot, we might want to ask you if we can open it up to others as well, because some of these are, very popular classes. You can also do this if someone in your unit is currently certified in, let's say, American Heart, and they want to be able to teach under our contract prices. There's a spot on that website for them to click to say, I'd like to be an instructor. And frankly, right now, I'll tell you, the email goes to me, and I get them hooked up into our contract. And that way, if they only ever want to teach to your unit, I'm great with it. We've got equipment, we've got supplies. I just never, ever, ever have enough instructors. So if you've got someone who's certified and you want to teach for, or have them teach under under our contract just to your unit, great. Same thing under our contract. If you want to use the training as a fundraiser, you can do that. You can offer CPR in your community for some pretty low prices and do it as a fundraiser, as long as you're providing the instructor, because I'm not doing the fundraiser for your unit. So, as I said, we have the Wilderness First Aid and CPR. It's coming up on April 23rd. You want to get scheduled. This always goes quickly. So as soon as we get it up, it fills up very quickly, because this is required for Philmont and the other high adventure bases. It is required for at least, so 2 people are required to have it at Philmont and the high adventure bases. 1 person is required to have it for any high adventure based trek. And then you're going to say, well, Mark, what's a high adventure based trek? And I'm going to say, well, if you take a look in the Guide to Safe Scouting, it tells you exactly what they consider a high adventure based trek. I know the answer, but I want you to get used to looking at the resource so you know where the answer is, and you can point that out to others. So this is open to youth and adults. Everybody can take it. It's really just based on physical ability to do this stuff. Well, great. So for the one who just sent me that message, send me an email, send me a phone call, and we can work on getting your stuff added into ours. Love to have you for, like I said, 1 unit, your unit, or a lot of units. So please, definitely get a hold of me afterwards. I'm sure Ryan or Carl or Chris will pop my email into the chat room so people can have that for the person who just sent that message across. So first aid kits. Hey, yeah, we can ignore that thing that says 2 stores in the upper top, but 2 real main types of first aid kits that you need to have in your unit. One is the personal and the unit first aid kit. I should say that's 2, right? The personal and the unit. There are all kinds of recommendations about what should be in a first aid kit right here. And there's people have these whole points of view on, do I buy it or do I build it, right? So here's my nickel to her on it. So buying a fully made first aid kit is cheaper, right? You get a lot of stuff in there. You can't beat the price. If you are a first aid kind of person and really know your stuff and have a little bit of pride in your material, you're going to want to build your own, because there is a difference in quality of material versus the name brand and non-name brand. And I know for some of you are going, a band-aid is a band-aid is a band-aid, and I'm going to tell you, no, it's not. Some of you understand that joke. The other thing is don't have the things in the unit first aid kit that you absolutely can't use. So band-aid should only be a very minor part of it. There should not be a lot of band-aids, because everybody goes through band-aids. It becomes a huge unit expense. This is something that every person, youth or adult, should be carrying in their own personal first aid kit. Have a couple, right? But they should last a long time, because when it should take a while to go out, because you want everybody to use up theirs. Because that's their expense versus the unit expense. Do not put medication in there, whether it's Neosporin, triple strength antibiotic, aspirin, Pepto-Bismol, things like that. We don't do medication, right? No over-the-counter medications do we administer to any scout or adult. So if obviously people tend to get upset stomachs on campouts, right? That's where they should be carrying it themselves, right? That's something for a personal first aid kit. Something like Neosporin or triple strength antibiotic is something for a personal first aid kit. It's not for the unit one. And I know I've done enough of these. People are going to say, well, what do you mean? Come on, it's a triple strength antibiotic. And I'm going to give you an example of why the BSA is kind of strict with this. If you notice, I keep using the phrasing Neosporin or triple strength antibiotic. I am a huge fan of Neosporin. Works great. I use it on all my little cuts and boo-boos, and including the one I got here right now from playing with my dog. However, some people are allergic to the brand name Neosporin. All right. They're allergic to the brand, but just whatever the change is, but they can use a generic. So we do not give any over-the-counter medication, nothing that can be ingested, inhaled, injected, nothing. All of that needs to be in a personal first aid kit, not a unit one. The problem also with a purchased first aid kit is the most useless thing in a first aid kit is something you don't know how to use. So if that first aid kit that you purchased goes for a stethoscope, right? If you've never been trained in a stethoscope, it's a great toy. Not so much when you need it for first aid. If you don't know how to use a blood pressure cuff and one's in there, what's the point of it? It's just added weight and material and something that can be used incorrectly. And everything used incorrectly can cause problems. So again, when you have those first aid kits, if you buy it, right, a complete manufactured one, then you know what you're putting in there. You're trained in how to use all of that stuff. If you're buying one already put together, that's when you want to go through and get rid of the stuff that you and nobody else in your unit is trained or knows how to do. All right. We don't guess on the skills that we're doing. You use the right things or you don't. And then this has come up in the past few years, and it's again near and dear to my heart. With a unit first aid kit, right? There's some people think there's 3 different types of first aid kits: boy unit, girl unit, and and we're looking at Cub Scouts, a family unit, or in some troops, the co-joined unit, right? Where you've got a boy troop and a girl troop with a shared committee. So that's kind of like a joined unit right there. What's the difference in that first aid kit? Nothing, right? You see, nobody even typed in a response or raised hands, right? There's nothing different. There's everything that's in one should be in the other. Now, I know what a few of you are going to say, and I'm going to hopefully politely disagree with you. Yes, Mark, there is one difference that should be in the girl first aid kit that's not in the boy first aid kit. And that's going to be tampons or pads. Those absolutely belong in all types of first aid kits. So you've got young women at any age who are growing and developing and might get caught off guard. right? So we want to have that stuff in there for them. On the same turn, that is some great absorption material for a very severe cut. I mean, you'll have people that go out and I swear this is true. They will go out and spend big money on some of the high end compression bandages that are used for severe bleeding. I've never bought them. I throw some pads into my first aid kit. Why? Have them at the house. So I'm not spending extra money on something I can do. Um, yeah, I'm a big fan of multiple uses for the same equipment in there. So if I don't have to buy a specialized piece of this and a specialized piece of this, because this other thing works for both, big fan of it because things expire at the same time. So there is absolutely no difference between a boy, girl, joined unit, or a family first aid kit. Everything belongs in that first aid kit. Nothing should be separated out. There shouldn't be the blue first aid kit and the pink first aid kit, because when there's an emergency, what are we looking for? The first aid kit. With that being said, my pictures up here tend to be the purchased one. And my bad, I should have put up there a made one, because I do tend to make all my own first aid kits. The important thing with making your own first aid kit is big red cross that says first aid, big wording that says first aid. And this one, if you saw it closed up, has a big cross right up here. If you're making your own first aid kit, bag, box, whatever it may be, you need to make sure it's clearly labeled. You don't want the box that looks like every other box, or even the equipment box inside your troop trailer. So make sure, it's very clearly labeled. Everyone knows what it is. It's always kept in the same area. The other thing that wasn't in here, and we're going to be getting to this in a minute, is pen, paper, first aid log to record anything that's going on. Even if you purchase one, chances are it may not have pen, paper, pencil in what we call a first aid log, but we'll be talking about that in a minute. But so those are some things that you do need to add into yours. So medication, excuse me, as far as the BSA says, all medication is the responsibility of either the individual taking the medication or that individual's parent or guardian. An adult leader, after obtaining all necessary information and permission, can agree to accept the responsibility of making sure a youth takes the necessary medication at the appropriate time, but the BSA does not mandate or necessarily encourage the leader to do so. I'm going to stop there. That does not mean handing them the medication, you carrying it, doling it out in their hands. It means that you accept the responsibility to say, hey, Timmy, it's 4:00. Did you take it? That's what the BSA is saying. At no time are they inferring or implying they want you to be in possession of that person's medication. In no way are they inferring or implying that they want you to dole it out to Timmy. We do not want you to take on that kind of responsibility. If somebody is not old enough or responsible enough to take their medication, the parent or guardian needs to be in attendance to make sure that they can take it. So BSA council camps have their own standards and policies regarding the administration of medication. So ignore what I just said for if you go to camp. State or local laws that are more limiting than camp policies supersede any BSA guidance and must be followed. And I'm going to hit that for a second here. That's always true for everything. So when I say guide to safe schooling, guide to safe schooling, the guide to safe scouting rules all, right? Except where state law is more restrictive. So we may say, right, and here's a good example. We may say that with training, and this is an outdated example, even though it's a good one. We may say in the BSA that as long as you have been trained in the use of an asthma inhaler or an EpiPen, then you can administer it. For quite a while, there were several states that said absolutely not. The only person that could do that was the person who is issued to or healthcare providers. Now, all of those Good Samaritan laws, all those state laws have changed now. But at the time, the BSA said, yeah, you can do that if you're properly trained. And all the states said no. So, that's where it's kind of important, is knowing if something is more restrictive. Another example is in the BSA, right? We require youth protection training every 2 years, criminal background check, and adult leader application, right? We're good. As far as the national organization is concerned, you're good. As far as Pennsylvania goes and a couple other states, there's some additional background checks that you have to have done in order to volunteer with youth. Guess what? They are just as legit as the youth protection requirements that we have in the organization. So when state law is more restrictive, that's the rule. And if you have any questions about that, feel free to reach out. That's what, people like myself, risk management committee, and the professional staff there are here to help you understand those rules and regulations a little bit better. We may not always know all of them, but when it comes to, well, it says this and this, what do I go with? We're there to help you out. So something happens. We are for the types of activities we do, shooting, sailing, scuba, climbing, rappelling, kayaking, whitewater rafting, we do a lot of activities. Four-wheeling is a part of it now, right? And we are one of the safest organizations in the country. One of the safest. If you were to compare our record of injuries against other organizations, we are amazing. Absolutely amazing with how many people are doing that. However, it happens. People get hurt. It's a matter of life, right? Anybody who doesn't get any injuries or anything like that growing up, they missed out on some life experiences. We all had to go through it. But it's important that when something happens, it gets reported. So is the BSA on that safety page that we talked about, this is there as well. Timely, clear, concise, and complete incident reports allow for an appropriate response and an opportunity for analysis while promoting continuous improvements of our programs. You can report incidents, near misses, and youth protection or membership infraction incidents to your local council or enter them yourself. So the very first thing is to gather the facts. And then they have 3 different tools, and you can, right from the website, you can download the form so you understand what you need. There's the incident information reporting tool. That's just gathering the facts. There's the youth protection issue one, and that's gathering the facts. And then the near miss. And the near miss is, ooh, he could have been hurt, right? So we like to know about those. And after you get the information, you're reporting it to the council. Now, here's what's important about that is this starts once something happens, right? You have your first aid log. That's where you're writing down the information, what happened, what care was given, what proceeded from there. We have a great insurance program in the BSA, and we're what's basically known as a secondary. So, I get hurt at, let's say, the Wilderness First Aid Weekend, just because the irony in that one. If I get hurt at the Wilderness First Aid Weekend, and I go to the hospital because of it, so my insurance kicks in. And then whatever is not covered by my insurance, the BSA insurance kicks in. Same thing if I didn't have it, BSA insurance there is for the whole thing. And that's great. But the BSA insurance has to start with what we all know as a claim, right? Us as a council getting this information is starting the claim. That needs to get to your professional. There is an option on here. And then as I say this, somebody might come on and say, oh, but we'll see how it goes. There is the option that you can go in and actually report the information to National Youth, log into the incident reporting system. But as I understand, one, we would prefer that you told us about it because we know what's going on. It didn't just show up and we're going, huh. 2, as I understand it, because I haven't had to use it. I understand it's quite the bear to get through if you've never been through it before. So I think you're better off with getting the information and getting in touch with your professional to relay that information as soon as possible so that they have it, they can get it in there, and that's what starts the claim process. We do want to know about the near misses as well, because programs change, and they change based on things that have happened, right? We all know that a warning label is only there because somebody did it. Nobody sat around going, all right, what should we tell people not to do? They're only there because somebody did it once already, right? Basically the same thing. We learn from hopefully other people's mistakes. Sometimes it's our own mistakes, but we create a safer program by knowing what caused the injury. We do a whole lot better, and we're a lot happier with it. Ooh, that could have caused a serious one. And then we fix it before it actually caused the serious one. So we really do want that information to get in. So with that, that's the end of my my presentation about first aid and safety. I'm going to give it a minute here before we start doing breakouts to the districts to see if anybody has questions, comments, concerns.
What you doing, honey?
I'll just throw in, I want to reiterate, clear.
Who's this? Who's talking? Oh, there you are.
Clear, concise, and complete. An incident report that says, we were at a troop camp out. A scout tripped over a tent stake, fell and sprained his wrist. Is not clear, concise, or complete. Where was the camp out? What was the scout's name? Who else was around and witnessed it? What's the address of the location that the camp out was taking place? Specific, clear, concise details. Because that is what is required. Because again, like Mark said, it really is starting the process of a claim. We need to have that information on file so that if that BSA insurance is activated to help pay for medical bills, et cetera, then that information is already in the national database, and it will greatly speed up and facilitate the process. If there's no incident report, there's going to be a mess. Insurance companies don't like to pay out. Don't know if anyone realizes that. They love to take the money, but they hate to send the money back out. So the more complete and specific and detailed the information, the better.